Forbidden feelings. The prison cell was cold and dark. The only sound was her voice. She whispered his name again and again. Ryan, Ryan. Her face was bruised. Her hands were tied. Guards outside the door laughed. She still loves the human, one said, even now. Pathetic. But Larry didn't care. Even with blood on her lips, she smiled. She closed her eyes and remembered the first time they met. It was 2 months ago. Larry walked through the space station market, tall and proud. Her species, the Ilari, were beautiful and powerful. Their skin was silver blue, and their eyes glowed like stars. Ilari was the daughter of a royal family. She was not supposed to speak to outsiders, especially not humans. But that day, something happened. A small fight broke out near the food stalls. A human boy was being pushed by 2 guards. People shouted, "Thief! Liar! Humans are trouble." The boy had messy dark hair and scared eyes. He held up his hands. "I didn't steal anything," he shouted. "Please, it's a mistake." Larry looked closer. She saw the truth. He didn't steal anything. Someone had dropped a crystal, and he picked it up to return it. But no one cared. The guards pulled out their stun rods. The boy fell to his knees. That's when Larry stepped forward. "Stop," she said, her voice calm but strong. Everyone turned. "She is royal," someone whispered. "She is Ilari blood," said another. Larry pointed at a camera above. "Check the footage. He's innocent." The guards looked nervous. They checked the recording. She was right. The human boy stood slowly, breathing hard. "Thank you," he whispered. Larry gave a small nod. She turned and walked away. But something inside her had changed. That night, she found herself thinking about the human. His name, she learned, was Ryan Carter. He was from Earth, working as a mechanic on the lower decks of the station. No family, no friends, just a dream to explore the stars. Days passed. Then one evening, she saw him again. He was sitting alone, fixing a broken drone near the waste systems. She walked past him, but he looked up and smiled. "Hey," he said softly. "Thanks again for helping me." Larry looked around. No one was watching. "You're welcome," she said. That was the start. They began meeting in secret, on quiet decks, empty cargo halls, behind the humming engines. They talked for hours. Larry told him about her world, its cold rules, its pride, and its silence. Ryan told her about Earth, its music, its skies, and its dreams. They laughed. They listened. Slowly, they fell in love. But love between a human and an Ilari was forbidden. If anyone found out, Larry would be punished. Ryan might be killed. Still, they couldn't stop. One night, Ryan gave her a small gift, a necklace with a stone from Earth. "It's not much," he said, "but I want you to have it." Larry held it in her hands, touched. "It's beautiful." She wore it under her clothes, close to her heart. But secrets don't stay hidden forever. One day, her brother, Lord Viral, saw a message on her device. It was from Ryan. He grew suspicious. He followed her. He saw them, Larry and Ryan, together, smiling, talking like lovers. His face turned cold. He said nothing and walked away. Larry felt a chill. She knew something bad would happen. That night, guards came to her room. Her father was waiting. His face was stone. "You have brought shame," he said. She didn't speak. He pulled the necklace from her shirt. "A human gift," he spat. She was dragged away, locked in a cell, beaten. Her crime, loving a human. Now, in the prison ship far from the station, she still whispered his name. Ryan. She didn't know where he was. Maybe he was safe. Maybe not. But in her heart, she believed he would come for her. Somewhere out there, under the same stars, he was thinking of her too. and that was enough to keep her hope alive. Love in the shadows. The station was no longer safe. Ryan Carter ran through the narrow maintenance tunnels, boots echoing on metal floors, heart pounding like a drum. Behind him, voices shouted in a language he couldn't understand, but the tone was clear. They wanted him caught. As he turned a corner, a laser shot flashed past his shoulder and hit the wall. Sparks flew. The light showed a symbol burned into the wall. It was the crest of the Ilari. He stopped just for a second, breathing heavily, leaning against the cold steel. His mind wasn't on the chase anymore. It was on her. Ilari. Her name echoed in his heart louder than any alarm. They had taken her, and it was because of him. 2 days ago, they were just two souls trying to hide from a galaxy that didn't want them together. Now she was gone. Ryan hadn't slept. He hadn't eaten much. He moved from one dark place to another, trying to find someone, anyone, who knew where they had taken her. Most people ignored him. Some looked at him with pity, others with hate. "She's Ilari," one worker spat. "You're lucky they didn't kill you." "She chose you," said another. "Then she chose death." But Ryan didn't stop. He couldn't. He returned to the place where they first touched hands, a broken corner of the station, where a wall panel opened into the stars. It was the only place she ever said it out loud. "I love you, Ryan," she had whispered. He had held her close, his fingers gently running over the markings on her glowing skin. "I love you too." Now, only silence remained. But then, footsteps. He turned quickly, ready to run. A figure in a dark hood stepped from the shadows. "You're Ryan Carter," the voice said. Female. Calm. Alien. Ryan stepped back. "Who's asking?" "I knew her. Ilari. I helped cover for her." Ryan's heart stopped. "Is she alive?" The figure looked around, then pulled down her hood. She was Ilari too, but her markings were dim. She was a servant class, not noble like Ilari. "She's on a prison ship. They took her last night." Ryan stepped forward. "Where? How do I get there?" The woman narrowed her eyes. "Do you want to die?" "I want her back." The woman nodded slowly, then listened closely. As the woman explained the prison ship's location and what Ilari would face, Ryan felt something inside him begin to burn. He had lived a quiet life before, just fixing machines, watching stars, minding his own business. But now something had changed. They didn't just take the woman he loved. They broke something pure. He returned to the lower decks and found an old friend, Darrow, a short, grumpy human trader who owed Ryan a favor. "You want to get on a prison ship?" Darrow whispered. "Are you insane?" "Maybe," Ryan said, "but I'm going anyway." Darrow looked at him for a long time, then sighed. "I have a contact who can get you near the security field. That's all I can offer." "That's enough." Meanwhile, inside the prison ship, Ilari knelt on the cold floor of her cell. Her back was bleeding again. The lashes had returned that morning. But she didn't cry. She whispered his name over and over again. Guards watched her from outside. One laughed. "She thinks he'll come. Stupid human lover." But Ilari just smiled. In her heart, she knew something the guards didn't. Love doesn't die in the dark. Back on the station, Ryan prepared for his mission. He packed old tools, a gravity drill, and the earthstone necklace she had once worn. He held it tightly. "I'm coming," he whispered. As he got ready to board a small cargo hauler toward the outer rings, he found a message scratched into the wall of their secret meeting place. Just 4 words. "Stars don't forget us." His hand shook. She had left it there. She was still fighting. And so would he. As the hauler launched quietly into the dark, Ryan looked out at the stars. Every one of them reminded him of her eyes. The prison ship. The stars outside her cell were bright, but Ilari had not seen sunlight in days. The cold metal walls pressed in around her. The floor was stained red. Her hands were tied above her head again. Her silver-blue skin was covered in bruises, dried blood, and long whip marks. Yet she still whispered his name. Ryan. She didn't scream anymore. Not because it didn't hurt, but because pain had become her normal. The guards called it re-education. The commanders called it purification. But she knew what it truly was: punishment for love. Every day, the guards asked the same question: do you regret loving the human? And every day, Illyri gave the same answer: no. Then the beatings continued. This ship was not like any other prison. It floated in deep space, hidden, silent, surrounded by mines and gravity locks. No signals could leave it. No help could reach it. It was where the Illyri sent traitors. Illyri was the first one sent for loving the human. She had made history. She would also die here. That's what they told her. But she still believed he would come. Somewhere, somehow, Ryan was still out there. Far away, Ryan was closer than she could imagine. The cargo hauler drifted toward the far edge of the Illyri system. Ryan sat in a hidden crate, surrounded by fuel packs and metal parts. It smelled like oil and old sweat. His face was pale, tired. He hadn't slept properly in days. But his eyes were sharp, focused. In his hands, he held a small map, drawn roughly by the Illyri girl who helped him in Part 2. It showed the layout of the prison ship, or at least the outer layers. He memorized every hallway, every access vent, every timing cycle. He whispered to himself, "You're not just breaking into a prison, you're breaking into hell." The cargo ship docked at the outer freight port. Ryan slipped out during the cargo check, using an old cloaking pad and a fake Illyri uniform. The suit didn't fit right, but it was good enough for a few minutes. He followed a team of workers, silent, head down. Then he disappeared into the maintenance tunnels. The deeper he went, the darker it became. The sounds changed, no longer busy, loud, full of orders, but cold, echoing, and hollow. He passed old cells, some empty, some filled with the weak and forgotten. In one cell, a man with glowing eyes whispered, "Turn back, human. This ship eats hope." But Ryan kept walking. Meanwhile, inside the high-level cell block, Illyri was dragged from her chains and dropped into the medical bay. Her body was shaking. Her lips were dry, but she still looked them in the eye. "You will die alone," the commander told her. She smiled softly. "So will you." The commander raised his hand to strike, but stopped. Something had changed in her. She no longer feared pain. She had turned her heart into steel. Ryan finally found a broken access port behind a trash vent. It was small. He had to crawl. Sharp wires cut his hands and legs. But then, he saw her. Through a thin crack in the wall. She was alive. Barely. Her head was down. Her hair was soaked with blood. Her back was scared and open. He covered his mouth to stop the sound that rose in his throat. Tears filled his eyes. Rage filled his chest. He wanted to break through the wall, shout her name. But he knew he had to wait. If he made one sound, they would take her somewhere worse. He crawled back and started to plan. That night, Illyri lay alone again. And again, she whispered his name. Ryan. She didn't know that he was just meters away, watching, fighting the urge to run to her, planning a way to take her home. Outside her cell, 2 guards stood bored. One leaned on the wall. "I heard they're moving her to the inner pit tomorrow," one said. "No one ever comes back from that." Ryan heard it too. His hands turned to fists. He had one night to find a way in. One night to break her out. One night to either save her or die trying. And somewhere inside that ship, as the lights dimmed for rest cycle, both of them, so close, yet so far, looked up at the same ceiling and whispered the same thought. "Hold on, I'm coming." The escape plan. Darkness. Silence. Then, fire. A massive explosion shook the far end of the prison ship. Alarms screamed. Lights flashed red. Guards ran down the corridors, shouting intercoms. But it was only a drill. A test. A distraction. Ryan Carter had triggered it. From deep inside the maintenance tunnel, Ryan crouched behind a loose panel, holding his breath. Sweat poured down his face. His heart beat faster than any siren. It had worked. They moved half the guards to check the fire zone. Now, it was time. 2 hours earlier, Ryan had found a tiny storage room near the engine vent. Inside were old tools, wiring, and a maintenance console still half functional. He sat on the floor, breathing hard, staring at the screen. The timer blinked. 6:14 until system reset. That was the window. Less than 7 minutes between power cycling. Less than 7 minutes to get in, free her, and vanish. Could it be done? Most would say no. But Ryan didn't care. He hadn't come this far to fail. While the station was shaking, Larry was moved to a different cell. She could barely walk. Her feet dragged. Her wrists were chained in front of her. 2 guards pulled her forward like a broken animal. "Lucky you," one said. "They say you're getting a final judgment soon. Maybe they'll just push you into the sun." She didn't reply. Her lips were cracked. Her back was still raw. But her eyes burned with something that scared even the guards. She still had hope. In the tunnel, Ryan used a stolen keycard to open the back gate of the lower cell block. A loud hiss echoed as the metal door slid open. He stepped through. Now he was inside the real prison. He had only minutes. As he moved between shadows, he remembered the plan he made. The Ilari servant girl had told him about a waste pipe that connected to the outer wall of the high-security cells. It only opened during system resets to flush gases. If he could reach the valve during that 7-minute cycle, he could climb in. The problem? It was one way in, no way out. Still, Ryan didn't hesitate. He climbed up the access ladder, timed his moves with the flashing lights, and finally reached the massive valve door. It was hot, rusted, alive with warning signs. He slammed the override switch. Steam burst out, nearly burning his arms. He covered his mouth, pulled his jacket tight, and crawled inside the tight pipe. He moved like a snake through darkness. Then, he saw light. A soft glow poured into the end of the pipe. He peeked through a metal grate. And there she was, Ilari, kneeling in the center of a cold room, chained to the floor. She looked thinner now, weaker, but still beautiful, still alive. Ryan closed his eyes. For a second, he couldn't breathe. But then he heard footsteps, 2 guards entering. "You have 5 minutes," one said. "Say your last words. We'll take you to the judgment hall after this." Ryan moved quickly. He unscrewed the grate silently, dropped into the shadows behind a broken pillar. The guard stepped closer to Ilari. One leaned down. "Any last words, traitor?" Ilari lifted her head slowly. "Yes," she whispered. "Look behind you." They turned. Too late. Ryan slammed the first guard with a metal rod. The second guard raised his weapon. But Ryan was faster. He hit the power pack. Sparks flew. And the guard dropped hard. Ilari blinked. Her lips trembled. "Ryan." He ran to her, cut her chains. She fell into his arms. "I told you I'd come," he whispered. "I thought I was dreaming." "No," he said, holding her tight. "This is real. We have to move. Now." Ryan helped her up. Her legs were weak, but she leaned on him. He handed her a small mask. "The vent we're using has gas. You'll need this." "Where are we going?" "To freedom." They climbed back through the vent together. It burned. It choked. But they kept moving. Behind them, the guards were waking. Sirens began again, but this time, it wasn't a drill. The escape was real. They reached the other side of the gas pipe. Then the worst sound hit them. Lockdown sirens. Security breach in Block E. Doors began to close. Lights turned red. Ryan grabbed her hand. We run. We don't stop. But no time. They ran. Through steam, through fire, through pain. Finally, they reached a cargo port where Ryan had hidden a small emergency pod stolen from an old freight unit. But just as they reached it, a shot rang out. Larry screamed. Ryan turned. A guard stood there, gun smoking. Blood ran down Larry's side. No, Ryan whispered. He caught her before she fell. He pulled out a plasma cutter and fired. The guard dropped. He lifted Larry into the pod. She was breathing. Barely. We're going home, he said. I promise. The pod launched. Inside the small pod, Larry leaned her head on his shoulder. You risked everything, she whispered. You are everything, he replied. Outside, the prison ship shrank behind them. But ahead lay stars. And freedom. And maybe, just maybe, a future. The trial of fire. The sky was red. The ground cracked like burning glass. Larry opened her eyes and saw fire. But this wasn't the warmth of freedom. It was judgment. They had made it off the prison ship, but not far. Only hours after launching the escape pod, it was pulled out of hyperspace by a Royal Ilari war frigate, a silent black ship that appeared like a shadow in space. Ryan tried to fight. But there were too many. Too fast. Too strong. He was knocked unconscious. And when Ilari woke up, her wrists were bound in glowing chains, her feet shackled, her wounds still fresh. Now she stood in the trial arena, deep inside her homeworld's underground court, a place older than her people's memory, a place where truth didn't matter. Only obedience did. Crowds filled the glass balconies. Ilari nobles, officials, soldiers, even her own father, High Commander Thaler, stood high above, face cold and unreadable. In the center of the arena, Ilari knelt. Beside her, Ryan was thrown down, bloody, weak, but alive. They were to be judged. Together, a booming voice echoed across the chamber. This trial is held for treason of the soul. The accused, Ilari Thaler, of royal blood, has chosen to give her heart to a human. Murmurs rose from the balconies. Shame, anger, disgust. And the human, Ryan Carter, has corrupted the daughter of Ilari Command. A low creature, a mistake of flesh. Ryan tried to stand, but the guards held him down. Ilari's voice rang out. He corrupted nothing. I chose him, with my heart, my soul, and my will. Silence. Then gasps. Even her father narrowed his eyes. The voice continued. Do you deny your crime, Ilari? No, she said firmly. I loved him. I still love him. Her father's jaw tightened. You defy your people. I defy hate. The crowd stirred again, half in shock, half in rage. Then the fire pit opened. A giant circle of flame burned between the accused and the council. It wasn't just for show. This was the trial of fire. Each would be given a chance to walk through flame. If their soul was pure, they would survive. If not, they would turn to ash. It was said no one had ever crossed it and lived. Ryan looked at her. You don't have to do this. Ilari smiled weakly. Yes, I do. He shook his head. You've already suffered enough. Not if they make you suffer next. The commander raised his hand. The human will walk first. If he survives, he may live. The guards pushed Ryan forward. The fire rose, dancing high, angry and hot. Ryan looked at it and saw death. Then he looked at Ilari and saw purpose. He stepped into the flame. Pain, heat, screams. He didn't fall. He walked. 1 step, 2. The crowd leaned forward. 3, 4. Then he collapsed. His body hit the ground just outside the circle. His clothes burned. skin blistered, but he was alive. Barely. The guards rushed to put the fire out. A medic shouted, "He's breathing." The crowd gasped. The human survived. Now it was Ilari's turn. The commander stood. "Daughter of Ilari, redeem yourself. Denounce him, and you may be healed. If you speak the words, we will forget your crime." Ilari lifted her head. Blood ran from her mouth. "I would rather burn for love than live with a lie." She stepped into the fire. The flames wrapped around her like a veil. She walked slowly. Every step, her skin sizzled. Her eyes stayed open. She whispered, "Ryan, one more step." The crowd held its breath. She reached the end. Then she fell. Ryan screamed, "Aelori." He crawled toward her, hands burning, chest shaking. She reached out her fingers. Their hands touched, just for a moment. And in that moment, a light burst from the fire, not red, but silver. It exploded across the chamber, blinding everyone. Then silence. When the light faded, she was lying on the ground, her body broken, her skin blackened. But she was not ash. She had survived. Not fully, not untouched, but alive. The Ilari commander looked down, his face pale, his voice small. She passed. The crowd began to murmur again. But this time, not all in anger. Some in awe, some in doubt. They were dragged back to the cells, separately. But now, something had changed. They had passed the trial of fire, and no one could erase that. But survival had a cost. They would be punished in another way. A new sentence, one that would test not just their bodies, but their hearts. Hope among ruins. Silence. It was the kind of silence that hurt. Ryan Carter lay on the cold floor of a small sealed cell. The lights were dim. The air smelled like rust, oil, and blood. His skin still carried the scars from the trial of fire. His left hand couldn't move. His ribs felt cracked. His lips were dry. He couldn't speak. But in his mind, one voice echoed. Her voice. Ilari's. "Ryan, you survived." The last thing he remembered before blacking out was her hand, burned, shaking, reaching for his. That touch had lit the chamber with silver light. They called it a miracle. But then the light was gone. And so was she. He had not seen her since. For 3 days, he'd been locked away alone. No voices, no answers, no food, only liquid from the wall tube. Not enough to kill him, just enough to keep him from dying. A perfect prison. But even in the darkness, he refused to let go of one thing. Hope. She was alive. Somewhere in this place, far away in a deeper chamber, Ilari woke to pain. Her eyes blinked against the soft blue light. Her body had been wrapped in healing bands, her burns treated by silent machines. Her fingers twitched. Her voice came as a whisper. "Ryan." A shadow stepped into view. Not a guard, not a soldier, but her father. Commander Fiddler. His face showed no emotion. His eyes were sharp, cold. "You lived," he said flatly. Ilari looked at him with no fear. "You said I was weak, that I would die." "You still might," he said, "but you defied death. That means something." He stood silent for a while. Then he added, "The nobles are divided. Some want to execute both of you. Others are afraid to kill someone the fire spared." "So you're here to ask what?" she whispered. Feller walked closer. "Denounce the human. Let us say it was a mistake of the heart. You will be given a quiet life. Alone, but alive. And him. He'll be taken to a mining moon. He'll never escape. But we will spare him." Ilari didn't blink. "No. You still love him. With everything I have." Her father's mouth tightened. "I thought so." He turned and walked away. In the quiet, Ilari lay back down. The machines hummed. She was alive. But for how long? And more importantly, was Ryan. Back in Ryan's cell, a soft sound broke the silence. A low hiss. Then, a metal panel in the wall slid open. Ryan sat up slowly, barely able to move. A small Illyri child crawled in, eyes glowing faintly in the dark. "You're the human," the child said. Ryan stared. "Who are you?" "My mother works here. She's a healer. She told me the fire chose you. I wanted to see." Ryan coughed weakly. "She, Illyri, is she alive?" The child nodded. "Barely. But yes." Ryan's head fell back. Tears touched his cracked lips. "Do you want to send her a message?" the child asked. Ryan looked at him. "Can you help me?" The child smiled. "I already am." That night, Illyri opened her eyes to a soft light flashing on the wall. A hidden panel opened. A small device sat inside. She pressed play. Ryan's voice filled the room, broken but strong. "I don't know if we'll make it out. I don't know if they'll ever let us see each other again. But if you're hearing this, then I know one thing. We survived the fire. Together. That means something. It means love can survive anything. I'll wait. 1 day, 1 hour, 1 lifetime. I'll wait for you." Illyri covered her mouth. She wept. But it wasn't pain. It was hope. Elsewhere in the prison complex, the child's mother, an old Illyri healer, watched the video feed. She had once loved a human too, many years ago. He had died in chains. She never spoke of it, never dared. But now, maybe love could live again. She whispered into her calm, "I'm going to help them." In the dead of night, hidden doors opened. Energy was redirected. Cameras blinked out. Floors opened like mouths. 2 paths slowly began to curve toward each other. Ryan and Illyri, separated by walls, guards, and laws, were now being pulled closer once more. Hours passed. Then a door opened in Illyri's chamber. A tall figure stepped inside. She stood slowly, unsure. Then, her breath caught. Ryan stood there, weak, bloody, barely standing, but smiling. Their eyes met. No words, only hearts. She ran to him, arms wrapping tight around his broken body. He fell to his knees. She went with him. Together, they sat on the cold floor, holding each other. For the first time in days, no chains, no guards, only quiet. But then, the alarms began again. Somebody had found the missing logs. Voices echoed through the walls. The healer's voice came through a small speaker. "You must run. Now. I've bought you minutes, no more." Illyri looked at Ryan. He nodded. No more waiting. It was time to run. One last time. They moved quickly, side by side. Through tunnels. Past dead cameras. Toward the old vent port that led to the outer docking bay. Their only shot. Ryan winced with every step. Illyri clutched his arm, pulling him forward, ignoring her own pain. But even as they ran, they knew this escape might be the last. As they reached the last door, Ryan turned back and looked at the prison tower behind them. "So much pain," he whispered. Illyri touched his face. "And so much love." The door opened. Beyond it, stars. The stars remember. The stars never blinked, even when hearts stopped beating. Ryan and Illyri stood at the edge of a landing platform. The metal under their feet trembled from the alarms echoing behind them. Red lights flashed above. Footsteps thundered closer. But ahead, beyond the thin, cracked glass door, was a small ship. Their last chance. The old Illyri healer had done more than anyone expected. She'd unlocked the hangar's override code, scrambled the cameras, and given them exactly 6 minutes to escape. 6 minutes, or death. Ryan's body ached. His burns hadn't healed. His chest screamed with every breath. Illyri's hands shook as she entered the code to open the glass gate. Blood dripped from reopened wounds on her arms. But she didn't stop. They had come too far. Together, they stumbled into the docked escape vessel. It was old, rusty, and barely holding together, but it was all they had. The engine needed 10 seconds to warm. The footsteps were only 5 seconds away. As Ilari started the engine, Ryan turned. 3 Ilari soldiers burst into the dock with blasters raised. Hands up. Ryan stood in front of her. No weapon, no armor. Just a human with nothing left to lose. Step away from the traitor, one of them ordered. She's no traitor, Ryan said calmly. She walked through fire for love. Can any of you say the same? The soldiers paused. Then, the youngest one lowered his weapon, just slightly. She passed the flame, he whispered. And so did he. A higher-ranked officer stepped forward. That doesn't change the law. No, Ryan said, but it changes the truth. He stepped backward into the ship. The door closed. Blasters fired, but hit the glass. Too late. The ship roared to life and shot out into space like a wounded bird. Inside, alarms beeped. Oxygen low. Hull pressure dropping. The ship wasn't built for long travel. But it didn't matter. They were free. Ilari sat beside Ryan. Her hand touched his face gently. You should rest, she whispered. So should you, he replied. But neither of them did. They just sat in silence, staring at the stars. Hours passed, then days. They drifted through unknown space, hiding in asteroid fields and skipping gravity signals. Their bodies grew weaker, but their hearts, never. Ryan used the ship's recorder to tell their story. If anyone finds this, we want you to know what happened. We want you to know that love is not weakness. It's not treason. It's the one thing that made the pain worth it. Ilari recorded her voice too. I loved a human, and they called it a crime. But I would walk through the flames again. For him, for us. For the chance to believe in something bigger than blood. On the 5th day, their ship's engine gave out. They floated in silence. No fuel, no food, no way back. But they didn't cry. They curled up beside each other. Ryan wrapped his arms around her. She rested her head on his chest. If this was the end, it was still beautiful. And then, light. A distant glow. A small moon, unknown, untouched. The ship crashed through the thin atmosphere, shaking, burning. The pod slammed into soft rock. Silence followed. Years later, on that same moon, a group of travelers found the wreck. Inside, they found 2 bodies, together. Cold, still, peaceful. But they also found the recordings. The story. The love. The fire. Word spread across the galaxy. The Ilari Council was forced to watch the footage. Crowds wept. Riots rose. Some nobles resigned. Some changed. Others still called it shame. But among the young, something else happened. They believed. Statues were raised. One on Earth, one on the Ilari homeworld, and one on the moon where they were buried together, beneath the stars they never stopped looking at. The statue showed 2 lovers, hands clasped, faces turned upward. The plaque read, they walked through fire. They whispered each other's name through pain, and they never let go. Love is not a crime. The stars remember. Fade to black. End of transmission.